Hi everyone. Welcome to our 3 p.m. live. Hi Amrita, you're the first person to sign in today. Hi Vaibhav. Good to see all of you. Welcome back to our 3 p.m. lives. I'm excited to do this again. I think that I had major lockdown fatigue and I was kind of just not doing this, not being active. But I got so many messages and thank you so much for the support, from all of you telling us to come back. And of course, we're coming back with a bang. We have a very exciting topic today. We're talking to Rahul, who is also the owner of Qualia Bombay. I'm sure you all have been to Qualia before the lockdown. So today we're talking to Rahul to tell you a little bit about him. Rahul started his culinary journey 35 years ago, working in many of New York's top kitchens over a 10-year period during the 1980s. He returned to India in 1989, and since then he's been changing the way we eat. So of course Rahul was with Indigo previously, and now he has his own restaurant, which is Qualia. We were all waiting for him, to start his own and come back. So today we're talking to him about that. Let me get Rahul on. I hope that you have questions for him, and we'll in the live. Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good to see you. Thank you for coming on to our live session.
Good to be here.
How's it going? How's the
It's
lockdown
going as I guess as best it can go given the world we're in today.
Yes, yes.
Listen,
I have.
Do you mind if I have a quick bite to eat while we start? Cool.
I love it. I love it. I think this is I love the casual vibe. So please do what you like. I'll just keep chatting with you and having a conversation.
All right.
Because today we're talking about, of course, we're all in this together. Like you said, it's the lockdown, and I think everyone's a little worried. But the good thing is we're all in this together. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
So of course you have Qualia is one of my favorite places in Bombay to say.
Thank
so.
you.
And of course, we're all missing our restaurants now, but I'd love to hear your take. We are a network of entrepreneurs, and everyone is somewhat a little nervous about what's next. So of course, we'd love to hear from you, and I do have a bunch of questions which I am going to ask. So of course, I want to ask you about the lockdown for you in general. When you had to close Qualia, what were your views? Just to start off with that.
Well, back in March, I think when it when I guess the shit hit the fan. So we had already started seeing quite a slowing down of business towards the end of Feb and into March. And, once COVID started being, I think, discovered or announced here in India, we, along with several other restaurateurs, took a call to shut our places. So we shut Qualia on the 15th of March, which is much sooner than which is much sooner than the sort of national lockdown that was announced.
Yes. So, but and obviously you are shut, but you haven't opened for delivery yet, right?
No, we just spent last week sort of getting back there and trying to get things ready for delivery.
Okay, lovely. Yeah, because that will be.
Which I think hopefully by the end of the week, either this week or into next week, we will start. But we've created a completely different menu for delivery, so that it's like more comforting, more sort of easygoing food.
Easier to eat at home as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So of course you were with, I mean, I would say when I think of Indigo, I always thought of you. And, of course that wasn't like, I would say that's something that ended, but now you're onto your own and this is amazing. But I'd still like to ask you, with Indigo, were there any lessons that you learned which you took forward with you and said, I'm not going to do it this way with Qualia?
Well, I think one of the things that happened with Indigo eventually, back in the day, is I didn't pay a lot of attention to how I was structured from a corporate point of view. And I think, that's a lesson for all entrepreneurs, is that make sure that, that you do retain, if you can, control. Make sure you're structured in a way that allows you to retain control, or if not, at least, even if it's not in terms of shareholding, you should at least have control in terms of decision making, because at the end of the day, whatever you're doing is a manifestation of your vision and of your dream about something. And I think it's only you that can really sort of translate that, right, into reality. So it's very important in order to be able to deliver your project, to be able to control its expression, and therefore to be able to maintain control of your project and of your business.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And of course, I'm noticing while I'm reading some articles during COVID-19 that places are shutting down. And I think maybe after COVID-19, we're going to see much more places actually not surviving this. But why is it even pre-COVID-19, do you feel that a lot of restaurants shut down too quickly? Are there a lot of common mistakes that they make that, they could avoid?
Well, that's actually a very good question. And I'll answer it pretty simply. Most people, or I'd say a lot of people, get into the business because they think it's a sexy business, right? It's glamorous when it's glamorous when the restaurant's doing well. You're in the public eye. You have all the conoscenti coming to eat. You get to rub shoulders and have shared drinks with whoever, celebs, all these things, right? But it's actually dog's work. Okay, and the thing about the restauranting is fundamentally you work when everyone else plays, right? And it's a very tough job. Okay, it's a very tough job, and people get into the biz, as I said, for all the wrong reasons. Our model to operate is actually very tough. Our rents are high, our food costs are high, our salaries are high, and we don't do more than about between, let's say, 10 and 20% EBITDA, and that's really the margins on like which we are operating. So people don't realize that it's a perception management business too.
Yeah.
I mean, if I serve you a dish and you eat that roadside, or if I serve you the same dish plated in a really nice environment and such, it's going to taste different to you. So that's kind of what I mean by its perception management.
Yeah.
It's hospitality driven. It's touchy feely. It's all these things, and you're trying to manage people, both your staff as well as your customers' expectations, right? I mean, you can have a cook that comes in, he or she's had an argument with their spouse, they're in a foul mood, and they cook badly.
Yeah.
Right? Or the waiter's rude, not attentive. So there are too many moving parts. And to get them all to line up in a way that makes it a memorable experience so that you can turn a profit takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably the reason why a lot of the businesses fail, is that they're in it and they think they're going to turn a quick buck in the short term. That's not how this business works. Restauranting makes money, but it's always in the long term.
Yes, agree. So the other thing is, of course, in a lot of business, I mean, times are changing and no one really expected COVID-19 to come and hit us this bad and, even think that this would last this long or even longer. But tell me, what advice could you give businesses, how to keep relevant in changing times? Because the restaurant businesses, I mean, there are changes constantly. Yeah. I think every day is a new day.
Well, Well, that is the big $1 million crystal ball question, isn't it? How to stay relevant.
Yeah.
So, there are two ways where you can really look at it. One is as a restaurateur, as a chef, as somebody who's very hands-on, I need to first ask myself whether I, as a person, am still relevant. All right. I mean, what I consider to be all the important facets of restauranting, I need to make sure that those are relevant today. I'm 61 now, and my views on the business are a lot different than, let's say, my daughter Shan's views on like what makes a successful restaurant. So like I need to question my irrelevance to start with, right? Then I think the other side of it is also clearly the relevance of your restaurant, of the type of restaurant you're doing. I mean, the way people eat today is different. The way people socialize is different. The way people congregate and go out is different. So all these things are a lot different to the way restaurants or the way people behaved 20, 30 years ago. Okay, even the way you construct food on a plate today is different. Back in the day when we first started Indigo, it was a very classic. You had a starch, you had a protein, and you had a vegetable, right? Now it's more ingredient driven. Now individual ingredients are the hero of the dish. So people like to share food. Nobody really dines in a 3-course meal format anymore. So all these things are part of the relevant or relevance addressal that you need to do.
Yeah, I think you have to really keep up with changing times.
It's very tough. It's very tough because what like you feel is going to work doesn't necessarily mean others are going to think it'll work, right? So
yeah. So of course I wanted to ask you, and this is something I think everyone really wants to know, and when I said that I'm talking to you, what was your sabbatical like? Because I haven't known you before this, but everyone knows that you were obsessed with food. You're like, somebody tagged you in a post today and I read it and it said the legend of food, and I completely agree. So what did you do in your time off, and did it really chart your journey to something new? Did it let you discover more about yourself?
So a couple of things. I mean, actually several things. One is, when I left Indigo, when I sold out in 2015, in the very early part of 2015, I had, the last few years had actually been pretty hard on me. And I didn't part ways under very, very amicable conditions, right? So I needed time to really, sit down and think a little bit about what I was doing food-wise, and what were the things that turned me on, that excited me food-wise again, and so you start to think a little bit about that. I also started, realize that I had gotten to a point, it was in a corporate environment and stuff, and I needed to kind of dial all that down, dumb it all down again, and start over from doing a single eatery again, right? Which means simplifying your life, which means trying to get foolish again and not pay too much attention to what everyone else was doing, but to sort of really look inwards and to kind of see what was it that excited me in terms of food and restauranting, both in style, both in terms of cuisine, in terms of interiors, in terms of look and feel, vibe, all of those things. So I did that. I also took a lot of time off. I traveled, I ate, I caught up with friends across the world. I did a shitload of scuba diving, which I love.
Wow.
I read, I did a lot of things. I'm in the process of writing a book that I started back then also. So I did a lot of stuff. I hung out with the kids,
Yeah.
lived
And
again.
your daughter's
Lived
with
again,
you? Your
basically.
daughter's with you now? At Qualia? She's working with
Both
you?
of them are, yeah.
Oh,
So
both of them are.
Shan, the older one, actually is actually based here and works with us on social media and marketing and that area. And the younger one, Amalia, actually finished cooking school in New York at the ICC and was working at the Modern in New York before all this nonsense started. But she's come home now.
Okay,
And so she'll help us out at Qualia for a while, but her intention, I think, at least as it stands now, is to go back.
To go back
to New York.
When time permits and when everything goes. But you have a few questions in the live I'm going to take now. One is from Amrita Devanji, who's a photographer, and she says, given that people, and specifically, I know she shot for you at Qualia, so she asks a question, given that people and specifically Indians love sharing food, sharing platters, etc. How do you think this will change the dining experience once restaurants open up after lockdown? And someone below that says buffets too.
What? Someone
Buffets
below that
as
said
well,
what?
like the buffet system. How will that kind of change? Someone's added to her question.
Well, okay, so a couple of things. We're still not sure whether COVID, what's the word? Whether the virus transmits only through human contact, or whether it can also transmit through inanimate objects like food or your dining table or stuff, right? So we know that it travels close distances in the air that you breathe. So if I'm contagious and I cough or I'm speaking and exhaling and you're in my face, you will inhale some of that.
Yeah.
So we're not clear about many things right now, right? So given that, the practical, of course, approach to it all seems to be social distancing, naturally.
It's really the only approach we know right now.
Yeah, which is, so that is going to happen. I don't think people are going to want to interact with food that's been out for a while. I think people are going to want to consume food that they know has been like absolutely freshly made and under hygienic conditions, right? At the same time, I'm not sure, I don't know how many people will want to go out and eat in restaurants where you're being served, where the whole dining experience is like eating inside an operation theater in a hospital, right? Everyone's in mask and gown and gloves and what have you. So, people are trying all these things where they put plexiglass shields between diners on a long counter, or they're in little bubbles. To me, this is all
the whole experience.
Yeah, this is all stuff that you're trying to do. I think the only thing that will change the way people eat is once people develop a confidence to go out again. Once, let's say, you find a vaccine for this damn contagion, and such. But none of that's going to happen quickly. It's all going to take time. And I think until that time, I think as a business or as an industry, I think we're pretty screwed. Because I've said this on several talks like this, is that, our restaurants are based on a dine-in model, right? That's one. Two, we can only be profitable if we're operating close to 100% capacity. Now, if social distancing mandates that we only operate at 30% capacity or 50% capacity, you're already generating losses. There's no way you can be profitable. Assuming everything else stays the same, as in your rent, as in the number of people you employ, et cetera, et cetera. So what's going to happen is, the only way for this business to work again is that everybody has to come to the table and all aspects of it has to be rejigged. Your rents have to be rejigged. Your salaries have to be rejigged. The amount of people working for you has to be rejigged.
Yeah.
The only thing that gets more expensive is raw ingredients, and when they are put under stress for delivery and for production, as is the case now, the price goes up. So everything that you're doing is working against turning a profit.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Really
And,
don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
tough times. Yeah.
I don't know who will survive and who will not.
That's really sad. That's actually really sad. We have another question from Gayatri Kilachal, who says, what is the one thing that's helping restaurants sustain in these times?
What's the one thing helping restaurants to sustain in these times?
In these times, yeah.
Well, currently, I don't think anything is.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Are you saying in lean times in general, or are you saying
Right now,
or
COVID.
are you saying lean times right now?
In times right now.
Okay, so right now, nothing is sustaining it. Those that are still open are people that had some reserves from previous years of operation or previous months of operation, or people who have investors with deep pockets who are ready to, keep funding the operation for a while. But that's about it. Some of them are doing home delivery, but it's such a small volume of business monetarily that you can't make ends meet. I don't even think it'll cover the rent. So the question is really, not what restaurants are doing right now to survive, because they have to cut their costs 100%. They have to completely tighten their belts. It's really an existentialist. It's an existential crisis right now.
Yeah, it's really.
And
it's sad.
if the lockdown goes for another month or more, it's going to be a question of, do you want to keep putting good money after bad, or do you just want to shut the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So that actually brings me to my next question, which is, maybe not in COVID times, but regular times, be it a QSR concept or a larger concept, what do you think that, which are like the red flags in which people should know that your business is not doing well? Because I feel like some people stretch it out too long and you've wasted so much money. There's nobody coming in, there's nobody ordering. So are there any red flags you could mention where people know that your business is kind of failing?
Well, I think, I think you use the same parameters to evaluate any business. If you are not breaking even, you need to have a long, hard look.
Yeah.
Yes, when you build out a restaurant, there is a model to which it's done. There's a business plan. You are capital, you're funded, through maybe the first few months until you can start turning a buck on your own and settle down. And you have to, I guess, the main thing is you need to be on top of your business constantly. Okay. One of the things about restauranting is that you earn today and pay out all your vendors tomorrow, right? In other words, you are generating revenue today, but you have 30 to 45 to 60-day credit with all your vendors. And so you think you're always cash flow positive, right? Because you have money in hand.
Yeah.
But that is the worst trap to get into, because it's very important to look at your creditors in real time and not over extended periods of time. To sort of look at the way your cash flows are going in real time without the credit. Okay, credit you take as gravy. I mean, if you like have it, fine, but if you don't, you need to pay your bills now. And then the other thing is, the business here in India is very cyclical. You do well for 6 months, which is roughly around Diwali to end March or into March.
Yeah.
and you earn in those 6 months for the rest of the year. When you go April until Diwali, until the end of Shraddh and all that,
Yeah.
in October, um, business sucks. Okay, it's huge. It's a huge downturn.
Yeah.
At least it's been that way historically. Yes, things have changed slightly
A little.
now, but
A little.
yeah, they have changed a little. But it's still so. So it depends when you open the restaurant. If you open in April or May, you're going into 6 months of slow season.
Yeah.
So you have some advantage that because it's a new place, people will come for the first couple of months to check it out because it's new. But then after that, you are in the heart of the slow season, and so you need to be able to weather that through. So I mean, to answer your question, there are 101 indicators whether your business is doing well or not.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you need to be on top of it and monitoring it in real time and constantly. That's the main thing.
Yeah. So unfortunately, someone has written here saying, I've decided to shut my restaurant. It's a losing battle we're facing. It makes sense to shut and rethink concepts.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's sad, but I guess it's the time has come. And Joginder Dham asks you, hi Rahul, how are you keeping your brand alive in the lockdown?
So I've been doing a lot of stuff like this. We've been, constantly posting. I do food on Qualia, on the Qualia handle. We're calling it Qualia in the time of quarantine. And Qualia cooks at home and such. And so we've been trying to keep things going that way. There's a limited amount of stuff you can do to sort of keep alive and in people's minds. I've been doing a lot of press work. I've been doing a lot of Insta stories like this, a lot of interviews, a lot of writing, a lot of commentary. So that's I guess the way to do it.
Yeah. So we have a question from Kanhai, who owns a food brand himself called Zisto. He says, what do you think of ready-to-cook and ready-to-eat products in these current times and in the future?
I think it's great. I think that may be the way to go. Because it's sort of diner or going out to eat diner agnostic, right? You can do good food, creative food, but it's something somebody can go into a supermarket, pick up or have delivered, and then prepare at home or heat up and just eat it. Like a TV dinner or something like that. So, for a while at least.
That will be something that people will go to.
While people still fear going out, it could be the way for them to get food generated at home, or to be able to partake of good food or non-home food, but like more restaurant or commercial food at home.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you one more thing before I ask you a little bit about yourself. Is, after a failure, like I would say, any business doesn't do well, but you think of starting something new, or even right now, I would say for a lot of people, COVID-19 would prove a failure for a lot of businesses. How kind of instill confidence in your staff, in investors who are just waiting around to make money? So is there anything you can share?
It's a very good question. It's a question of how do you weather adversity? How do you, how do you light that fire under your ass again to keep going? Yeah. How do you rebuild? Yeah. It's tough. You need to. Firstly, I think you need to be pretty objective about things. You need to be able to say that my business failed, not because I didn't do things correctly, but because the market that we found ourselves in was tainted. Okay, was screwed because of the coronavirus. Let's say it's the environment that affected my as well as everyone else's business, right?
Yeah.
So you need to be able to look at that objectively. You need to be able to, you know, I mean, I assume you've had some past experience, and so if you have some past experience, you can, you can sort of rely on that to like help explain what went wrong this time.
Yeah.
If you're just starting out fresh, it's very tough. I don't know, you're going to have enough wherewithal to like have the confidence and to be strong about what you're doing, and sure about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yeah. This is going to be a tough time for whoever has to deal with this. So one question more from Jay Wadhwa, who's the owner of Hopfirm, which is a QSR concept, and he has a question saying you've answered part of his question already, but do you think DIY kits make sense so people can make it at home?
Yeah, to a point. I mean, all these things, when you add them up together, are good.
Yeah.
Can you make a business out of just doing DIY kits and sending them home? Maybe you can if you have scale. I don't know, but
we really don't know what's next. We have to just keep trying. And
are these things good? Yes, they are all good. And in fact, excuse me. In fact, if you look at it, these are all things that already exist in mature markets like in Europe or the US and such. So you have all these things where you have DIY kits, as you call them. You have pre-cooked and semi-cooked packaged foods. You have TV dinners, just like reheat and stuff food. You've got a lot of food processed. So you have all these things that exist side by side and together in developed markets. Now, they are not that well developed here because we have issues with our cold chain. If we're able to fix that, and if every neighborhood baniya dukan or kirana shop is able to sort of store refrigerated and temperature sensitive food, then Bob's your uncle, and off you go.
Yeah,
everything will work.
So I'm going to ask you last two questions about you a little, but I wanted to ask you, since you have, you lost one business, but it was a super success. And of course, you've rebuilt an even more successful one. What are your thoughts on success? Have they really changed as your views? And if so, how?
I don't think so. I think I'm pretty much the same person. I don't know that. I mean, I think success allows you to, and firstly, success can be defined in many different ways, right? It can mean monetary success. It can mean commercial. I mean, in terms of commercial success, it can be success in terms of your craft, in terms of your vocation, in terms of what you do, in terms of I think what legacy you leave people. I mean, it can be many things.
Yeah.
To me, I think, I don't know. I know it hasn't changed me at all. Okay, I'm still a shorts and t-shirts kind of guy. I don't. I like live for life experience rather than life acquisitions, if you will.
Yeah.
So I think what financial success allows you to do is to perhaps dream a little bit and put some of those dreams into reality. What I think success on a professional level, if you will, I I think just makes you feel good inside, you know, that you've been able to accomplish something, that you've been able to do something that maybe has made a difference in somebody else's life. I mean, I live for somebody coming into the restaurant and saying, "Thanks, Rahul, that was a great meal." Okay, I don't care what the size of their bill was, but I care that something that we made with our hands or that I made with my hands actually touched you somehow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and to me that is success. You know.
Yeah, of course. And I've been wondering about this, but do you think success is a better teacher than failure? Or do you think, like I always say that you have to go through one major life experience for you to learn and like kind of come back into your own. But what do you think?
I think you need both. You need success and failure in order to grow. And I'll tell you why. I think just being successful all the time has, I think, the potential to make you complacent and be jaded. Okay. Yeah, this will also work. Yeah, I'm sure that'll work. Whatever, right? So you kind of become a little bit jaded and out of touch, perhaps even. Failure, if you have it constantly, is also a downer. It sort of causes you then to really question your abilities and your both abilities as a person, as an entrepreneur, ability to read the market, to conceptualize and to come up with an idea, everything, right? So I think it plays to your self doubt a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's good to have both because, if you have a little bit of success and you're going through some failure now, it gives you something to sort of it gives you the ammunition to say, I was successful once, I can lick this today. Okay, and I can overcome and get back there. At the same time, if you had failure and then success, you don't get too complacent and you don't get too jaded because you know that, I mean, in terms of us, we're only as good as our last meal, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the same with any business. Um, you are only as good as what you do right there and then, in the now. So failure allows you to measure and be aware of extents of success, if you will. So I think it's important to have both.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just going to take some comments before I let you go.
Sure.
From Afshin, because you said, of course, everyone's compliments mean something. So Afshin says, thank you for Under the Over. And everyone's favorite. Jay Vadva says, wonderfully said, if someone who just says they really enjoyed their meal and it makes them happy, it means the world. From one restaurant owner. And Marlies from Ministry of News says, can't wait to sit at the Qualia bar again and enjoy your terrific, delicious food again. And some good cocktails.
Me too.
Yes. And Rahul, thank you so much for chatting with us. I think we've got some great advice here from you. Everyone that watches this as well will enjoy it. I hope we're back soon to Qualia, and I hope we're back in action soon because I'm sure everyone
I hope so too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you soon and take care.
Bye. This was fun.
Bye.
Stay well.
Thank you.